most traditional insurances don't look at what someone's functional presentation is or what their actual clinical presentation, just what their medical diagnosis is. Independence care system, as a managed long-term care, Medicaid, looks at the whole picture, what their medical diagnosis is and what their functional presentation is. So we're looking at the person's lifestyle, the family, and what everybody does together. So if it's somebody who's active in their communities, people are parents, grandparents, they're minding children, they're volunteering in their church, they're going shopping, they're playing cards with their friends. Any of those sorts of things are really important to us, and we tease all of this information out in an evaluation and then together determine what intervention or what wheelchair we're looking at that's going to meet somebody's life and support them to be as independent and as functional as possible.
Wow, this is a big difference then between traditional insurance.
Absolutely. It's tremendous. A lot of people, when they come in to see us for the first time, they'll say, why are you asking me so many questions? And they are. They're intimate questions. We're asking people, you know, what do you do during your day? Are you able to get to the toilet on time? Are you falling in your home? Are you in pain? These are personal and private questions, and we apologize for the intrusion, but we really need to get a good picture of what's going on in somebody's life. And then we look at how we're going to maximize function, how we're going to help people participate in their life and live under their own steam as best as they're able.
All for their own good, which I like.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, you have a positive effect on the members and patients. What's the potential negative impact of using a non-fitted wheelchair?
I mean, first and foremost, we look at wounds, so pressure sores from sitting on an improper cushion. We look at pain. Pain is a tremendous thing. We all think, oh, you know, I've hurt myself, I know what it's like. But if you're in pain from the moment you wake up to the moment you go back to bed and you never have any relief, it changes everything. It changes the way you interact with people, and it just changes your general overlook in life. So those sorts of things become really, really important when we're asking questions. And when a chair is ill-fitting, it can exacerbate pain. We can develop really funny postures because you're not able to reposition yourself, so you start to look like this. It becomes difficult to swallow. It becomes difficult to breathe. It becomes really difficult to get up out of your chair if you need to get to the toilet or back to bed. There's so much impact. I could probably go on at length.
Who knows?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been an occupational therapist for quite some time, and specializing in wheelchairs for probably about 15 to 17 years of my career.
So I know one of the things I was really intrigued about when I came to ICS about 4 years ago was going into the rehab facility and seeing some of the analysis, in particular the seating analysis that takes place. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that prevents wound cares?
Sure. When somebody comes in, we do a full postural assessment. So we're taking somebody, if they come in a wheelchair, we're taking them out of their wheelchair, we're putting them onto a mat, we're seeing what their range of motion looks like, we're seeing how their body falls when it's not sitting in a wheelchair, what gravity does to it, what their body looks like out of gravity. So when it's lying down, does the hip bend, does the knee bend, or do you cause pain if it bends to a certain amount? We're also looking at their skin integrity, so that is wounds. I work very closely with the wound care team, and we'll often grab one another to say, hey, listen, I have somebody coming in, I think there's a problem, can you have a look? And then we'll look at wounds. We do skin assessments in the clinic. We also have some tools that can help us out. We're looking at pressure mapping systems, which are a computerized technology where we're able to slide a mat between the person and the seating surface, and it gives us a readout on a computer screen that we can capture, a graphical image or even just graphs of it, and send that off to physicians, to insurance companies to to prove the success of our intervention.
Are you saying MAT or MAP?
MAP.
Interesting.
Yeah, it gives us a 3D representation with peaks and valleys
Wow.
and there's pressure points, and yeah, it's pretty neat technology. People are always fascinated by it.
Yeah.
So then we look at wounds. We also look at, wounds come from a number of sources. There's the pressure of you sitting, so the bones inside and the support surface, the cushion. So if your cushion is not giving enough, then you can get pressure coming up from you. But also the shape of your bones can sometimes really determine how you interact with a cushion. So people who have arthritis or people who have osteoporosis, people who have been paralyzed and haven't walked for a long time, the shape of their bones change and it becomes more jagged. So if you're sitting in a cushion or and you're going over down the sidewalk and there's just little bumps, that kind of micro pressure can really cause trauma from the inside. So we look at suspension, we look at suspension in the wheelchair, we look at the components of the cushion, whether or not there's any tremor dampening to absorb those vibration and try and minimize that kind of thing. And also that vibration can translate up the system. If you're always moving like this, it's a lot of pain on your head and your neck and your arms. So it's very involved. The cushions can be air-filled, they can be gel-filled, they can be custom molded. We actually take plaster casts of people. It looks like a museum in our office sometimes because we've literally taken 3D images, made plaster casts, and we send them off and make these cushions that just encompass and envelop the tissue along the length so you're able to spread out somebody's weight. So a poorly fitting cushion, if it's too small, poorly fitting chair, if it's too short, if the knees are too high, you can really just increase pressure and cause all of these wounds. Selecting the right size of the wheelchair, the right kind of cushion interface will really change the opportunity for developing wounds. It can reduce that. It can promote wound healing. The last thing anyone who develops a wound wants to hear is stay off it, stay in bed. We have a number of people who come into us, and because they've had their traditional insurance tell them, oh, this is the only kind of chair that you're able to do, really they have a little power wheelchair that has these little small wheels that are hard plastic, and it's really uncomfortable for them to use. So they have a power wheelchair, they're able to use it, but they can't get through their day because they're so tired or they're in so much pain. So we'll have people and we'll bring them in and we'll have them try the equipment. That's another thing that ICS is able to do. We have the space, we have the support from our vendors and from our manufacturers, that we have a lot of demo equipment available to us, so somebody can come in and they can try the equipment, they can drive around in it, they can make sure that they're comfortable, that they know what they're getting. So we'll have people, we'll sit them in the chair, we'll try this cushion, and try a different cushion, and I've had people burst into tears and tell me that they couldn't remember what being comfortable felt like. And we accommodate. The human body is remarkable and accommodates to good things and to bad things, so it becomes very used to being in pain. So the opportunity to allow someone to tilt in space, or to change their angle, or even just to have a comfortable cushion where they're able to be well supported, can change their life. The opportunity, as far as us being clinicians and having the time to sit and to go through with a member as they come in and ask them a lot of questions. We've referred people straight to the emergency room where they've had surgery within a day or two, because we were the people who had the time to ask the question that led to the realization that perhaps it was a tumor in somebody's neck that was causing the pain and dysfunction, rather than just because they used a wheelchair. So that's an amazing event for all of us. I mean, no one expected that.
Saved a life there.
Yeah, from a wheelchair evaluation would come a successful surgery that saved a woman's life. We've had people who've been told that they're not able to get a power wheelchair, again, because of the dictates of their insurance. They had arthritis, and then because they can walk in their home, Medicare in particular, if that's your primary insurance, limits power mobility to somebody who needs it to get around in their home. So if you're able to take the steps in your home to get to the toilet, to get to your bedroom, to get to your kitchen, under Medicare guidelines, you do not meet their what they call in-home mobility requirement for performance of your day-to-day activities. So you do not qualify for a power wheelchair. So some people are really restricted to their homes, and once they get outside, they fall, they're unable to do that. So we get people who come in and they're just looking for maybe a scooter or maybe a low-end power wheelchair, just so they can get out and be a member of their community again.
So they're not so isolated.
So they're not so isolated. So those are tremendous as well. Or people who, ICS supports a primary chair and a backup wheelchair. So somebody who has a power wheelchair because that's what they needed and that's what to be independent, but all of their family lives at a place that has a couple of steps. So when you take a 300-pound wheelchair and you add a 180-pound person into it, getting it up a couple of stairs becomes really tricky. So having Perhaps we provided a ramp for them so that they could get to somebody's house for Christmas. Perhaps we provided them with a manual backup wheelchair that somebody is able to help them up those couple of stairs.
That's
so there's,
wonderful.
yeah, it's a really, really neat
Really rewarding.
place to work.
Yeah,
So
excellent.
it's
Thank you.
amazing.
So before you said, you were telling a story of where a person was being fitted for a wheelchair and they burst into tears because of the comfort, the change of pillow, cushion, I should say, was so much more comfortable than what they were accustomed to. Let's not have the viewers think, as I would have thought, oh, well, we'll just stick a cushion under them. That'll make them feel better, right? Because that
Correct.
could be causing more damage, we're learning.
Absolutely. Specialized wheelchairs, we spend some time and effort to make sure that we've got the cushion correct, but cushions have a life to them. Either if they're air, they need to be maintained and checked on a regular basis. If they're gel or foam or specialized foams, they need to be checked. They'll bottom out over time. We'll need to replace them. Sometimes, somebody was just given a chair through discharge planning, oftentimes at a hospital where it's somebody who doesn't do wheelchairs day in, day out that prescribes the equipment, so the cushion is not really meant for anything
Yeah.
other than from
Yeah.
here to there. And it's at the end of its useful life.
So the great thing of working in independence care system, I'm in the field a lot, but I'm in the office, and I'm in the downtown Brooklyn office where one of our clinics is located. So I get to see members coming in and out. I see their problems, and I see problems being solved and them kind of being able to leave and get the services that they need. And also, we actually have members that are wheelchair users that work for us as well. And
Oh.
so
Yep.
we have people we have a quadriplegic that uses a sip and puff, and so they're able to come to work every day, and these are things that they wouldn't be able to do. They wouldn't be able to live this kind of independent, active life if they didn't have the services that we provide on the wheelchair side.
And absolutely, and it's a fantastic thing when people come in and see our staff members in wheelchairs. That person works here? Yes, yeah, they do. There's a whole world of opportunity once you're able to get outside of your house, which is one of ICS's philosophies is full and independent participation in a community life.
Excellent.
And I just want to say, we have a bunch of tip sheets that talk about wheelchair maintenance, talk about pressure ulcers. You can find them all on our website at www.icsny.org, and I'm sure you'll be able to post that for the viewers so that they can see it as well.
Yes. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
participating in the panel today. I think the viewers have learned a lot about wheelchairs that we never knew before, and it's so important with so many aging boomers having aging parents that we get the right care, the right wheelchair, and most importantly, the right managed long-term care organization taking care of our loved ones. So thank you to both of you from Independence Care System for coming on this show, and we hope that we'll see you again.
Thanks for having us,
Thanks for
Angela.
having us.
And viewers, you can watch us every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock in Staten Island on Channel 34. You can also watch us in the other boroughs at 8:30 p.m. Goodbye now.